Last question, it's from Chris Donahue.
Yeah, g'day, guys. So, thank you for a great episode, by the way. Over the past 6 months, I have felt that the majority of mainstream media has helped propel a negative image of Julia Gillard, explicitly or otherwise. The moment the media began reporting about internal divisions which have nothing to do with policy, the polls went down and the media began reporting about the decline in her popularity, thus causing a vicious cycle that her public image could not recover. Was she a victim of the 24-hour news cycle and the hype of the headline?
Neil Lawrence, let's start with you.
I think anyone that saw Annabelle Crabb and Lee Sales on their stoic effort before the vote came in the other night may have heard Annabelle's, I thought, great rant, and I use the word positively, against the proliferation of polls and the degree to which, particularly our newspapers, have become reliant on them for generating stories. So I think there's quite a lot that I would agree with in what you're suggesting. I think it's overdone, they're overcooked and overly sensationalised. That said, do I think that it was the polls and the 24-hour news cycle that caused the problems that Gillard ended up having? No, I don't think that was the prime driver. They sort of echoed it, they exaggerated it. But there were a series of errors that compounded along the way that were real, not manufactured by polls.
Sue Cato first.
And while we'd all like a sort of gentler, more loving panel here, you live by the sword and you die by the sword. So if you're out there and you're playing the media and you're working at 24 hours, and if you do something that doesn't work, justice, or you might call it an injustice, but it's swift. We've got a very, very sophisticated and very active electorate now. People who will voice their opinion in a heartbeat. So if you do something that we think is inauthentic, that we think is a stunt, we have all lost our sense of humour over the last 5 years. I mean, we're watching the biffo on this panel, and there are a lot of people who I guarantee would have said, not too much of that. So I think that, at the moment, the disengagement for young people and so many people being turned off is because the media, you can say, they were 24/7 to fill. Every day the newspapers and the websites start effectively empty and they've got to be filled up. Politics tries to fill them. And you play the game and you get burnt.
Todd?
I think, Julia, to answer your question on Julia, I think Julia was very, very carefully repositioned externally by the master of negative spin, Tony Abbott, and internally by the master of controlled anger, Kevin Rudd. And I think that she suffered from both of those. But my own personal view
Todd, did John McTernan have anything to do with it?
Potentially. My own personal...
John McTernan being Julia Gillard's spin doctor, effectively.
Yes. We should get rid of him as well. But my own view is if you can't vote for either of these, and we're not going to do anything about climate change, then I'm voting for Clive Palmer because I want to get on that boat.
Now, that boat...
I'm on the boat.
Lest you forget, that boat is the Titanic.
Yes.
Tanya Plibersek.
I can't remember the question.
The question was whether...
Were we a victim of the 24-hour...
Well, I mean, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Your former Minister for Communications, Stephen Conroy, blamed News Limited newspapers for just about every evil that befell him and the government. So I guess the question is, did newspapers have anything to do with the demise of Julia Gillard?
I think
is Stephen Conroy right?
There's a pretty clear editorial line in News Limited papers at the moment, but... I think Tony Blair said something like complaining about the media is like complaining about the weather. It might make you feel better briefly, but it doesn't actually change anything. So it is our responsibility to work with the tools that we've got, and we need to find a way of communicating with people. It's great if that's through free media, newspapers, television, radio. If it's not, then it has to be talking more directly. It's more door knocking, more electronic communication, whatever way we've got of talking to people directly.
Sophie Mirabella, we've got just a couple of seconds, really.
The availability of more news mediums and the 24-hour news cycle should present an opportunity to actually sell a government's message, to be able to sell the policies, sell the vision. But in the absence of that, if a government is divided and there is great confusion, the void will be filled by those wishing to push the particular line that they're taking in their particular faction in a civil war within a party. And perhaps
Sophie,
that's what happened.
We've got to wind up, but just a quick question there. Does it help when Rupert Murdoch is on your side?
I'll take that as a rhetorical question.
Okay, that's all
Probably not as much as the ABC being on your side.
All right, well, that's all we have time for tonight. Please thank our panel, Sophie Mirabella, Todd Sampson, Neil Lawrence, Tanya Plibersek and Sue Cato. Thank you. This Thursday night.